Welcome, everyone, to vpod.ai. I'm your host, Mike, and with me is our expert, Susan.
Hey, it is so great to be here to really unpack the shift with you today.
You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit vpod.ai to get started today.
Awesome.
So with that covered, we are diving into a topic today that honestly touches almost every single family at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
Usually, around the dining room table as high school graduation is kind of looming in the distance.
Right, that classic stressful conversation.
Exactly. Yeah, we are looking at the rapidly shifting landscape of post-secondary education. And specifically, we're going to compare trade schools, community colleges, and traditional four-year universities just to figure out what is actually happening in the real world right now.
Yeah, because that dining room table conversation, it looks completely different today than it did even, I don't know, a decade ago.
Yeah, for sure.
For a very long time, the cultural expectation of what happens after high school was just incredibly narrow. It was, one path.
Right. So our mission for this in-depth exploration is to really break down the real mechanical differences here. We need to look at the differences in time, the differences in cost, and the differences in the actual daily lifestyle between these educational paths.
Yeah, because to truly understand this massive cultural shift that's happening, we have to grasp what these options actually look like on the ground right now.
Right. But, before we can even begin to compare the individual options, we probably should establish why this conversation is so incredibly urgent right now.
Oh, definitely.
Because the data we are looking at points to a dramatic change in human behavior.
It really does. There's this staggeringly high statistic from a 2025 Validated Insights quarterly report that it really sets the stage for everything we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, that number jumped right off the page for me.
I bet.
It's the kind of metric that forces you to rethink standard assumptions,
Yeah, so the report predicts that enrollments in trade schools and trade programs are going to increase more than 6.5% annually.
Wow.
And that is year-over-year growth.
That's huge.
It's massive. Young adults, and honestly, along with older adults who are looking for a career change, they are actively rethinking the traditional college route in huge numbers.
Yeah, and I want to frame this for anyone listening who might still be operating under an older mindset, because the narrative we've been fed for decades is that a four-year college is the only reliable path to success.
Right, the only way to make a good living.
Exactly. It's like the menu for life after high school used to be a mandatory prefix meal of a four-year college,
Oh, I love that analogy, yeah.
Right, like you just had to order the set menu.
Yeah.
And now people are suddenly realizing there's a massive high-quality a la carte section that they were completely ignoring.
That is perfectly said. Yes, students are choosing to acquire specific, highly targeted skills rather than just buying the generalized package.
Right.
But before we get too deep into the mechanisms of how these paths operate, we really need to clarify the terminology.
Please.
Because the vocabulary itself often creates this unnecessary barrier for families researching these options. Like, you will hear phrases thrown around like trade school, technical school, and vocational school.
Yeah, and when I first started looking into today's material, it sounded like three completely different educational pathways, right, with different rules and...
I know, it's confusing. But they are actually referring to the exact same type of institution.
Wait, really? The exact same?
Yes, the terms are completely interchangeable. Vocational school operates as kind of the general umbrella term used to describe both technical and trade schools.
Okay, so if a listener is researching options for themselves or maybe their kids, and they see vocational program on one website and then trade program on another, they shouldn't stress about trying to parse out some hidden difference.
None whatsoever. They're the same thing. Where the categories do firmly split, though, is when you compare those trade schools to traditional colleges. A trade school is fundamentally distinct from a traditional four-year college, which, is designed to award bachelor's degrees.
Right.
And it is also fundamentally distinct from a two-year community college, which traditionally awards associate's degrees.
No, wait, I have to pause and push back on that last point for a second.
Sure.
Let me admit my own confusion when I first started parsing through this information. Isn't community college structurally doing the exact same thing as a trade school?
You would think so, but no.
Because they are both shorter than a four-year degree, right?
Yeah.
They both seem geared toward getting you out into the workforce faster, and they both cater heavily to local communities.
Yeah.
It feels like we're almost splitting hairs by separating them.
I get why you'd say that, and it is a very common misconception, but they are structurally quite different.
Okay, how so?
Well, community colleges are still heavily academic and theory-based.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they are built on a traditional higher education model. They're just condensed into a 2-year time frame, or they serve as a stepping stone to a 4-year university.
Meaning, you still have to take classes that have absolutely nothing to do with your chosen major.
That is the dividing line right there, yes.
Mm.
If you enroll in a community college for an associate's degree, even in a highly specialized field, you are required to complete general education courses. You will be sitting in a European history class or an English literature class or a general mathematics class, regardless of what career you are actually aiming for.
So you're still being forced to buy the prefix meal, just a slightly smaller version of it.
Exactly. Whereas trade schools, they strip those general education requirements away entirely.
Really? Completely gone?
Completely. There is no mandatory literature class if you are learning to fix a diesel engine. They focus 100% of their curriculum on the hands-on practical skills needed for a specific job.
That makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look closely at how these paths operate, the divide really comes down to 3 main pillars, right? Time, money, and the physical classroom.
That's a great way to categorize it.
Let's tackle time first, because that seems to be the biggest variable when someone is trying to plan out their adult life.
Oh, time is often the ultimate deciding factor for people. A traditional college bachelor's degree typically takes 4 years of continuous study.
Assuming you don't change your major 3 times.
Right, which many do. And then an associate's degree from a community college takes about 2 years.
Okay.
But a trade school program, conversely, can take anywhere from just a few months up to 2 years maximum.
Wow. Getting into the workforce in just a few months is a completely different reality.
It really is.
And that timeline obviously has a direct impact on the second pillar, which is the financial cost.
Oh, the financial disparity is stark. The data provided by the National Center for Education Statistics, or NCES, confirms a massive price gap between these short-term credentials and a traditional bachelor's degree.
I mean, I would imagine so, right?
Yeah, you are paying for significantly fewer months of instruction. You are not paying for general education credits that don't apply to your field. And trade schools generally have lower baseline tuition rates overall anyway.
You know, let's reframe that financial piece a bit, because the real insight here isn't just about paying less tuition. It is about the concept of opportunity cost.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge part of the equation.
Right, because if I go to a trade school and get out in 1 year instead of 4, not only am I saving tens of thousands of dollars on tuition for those missing 3 years, but I am actually out in the world earning a full-time salary for those 3 extra years.
Yes.
A trade student enters the workforce at 19 or 20. They're earning money, maybe putting away retirement savings, while the traditional college student is taking on debt until age 22 or 23.
Exactly. The compound effect of that early earning seems massive when you really run the numbers. The math strongly favors entering the workforce earlier when you look at lifetime wealth building, especially when you factor in avoiding those high-interest student loans.
For sure. But beyond the time and the money, the third pillar is what you're actually doing day to day. The learning environment itself dictates who will thrive in which institution.
Right, because everyone learns differently.
So contrast those environments for us, because spending 2 years in a lecture hall feels very different than spending 2 years in a lab.
Oh, it's night and day. When you picture a traditional college, you picture those massive lecture halls.
You got hundreds of kids.
Exactly. You picture heavy textbooks, written essays, sitting quietly at desks, and conducting academic research in a library. It is an intellectual, heavily theory-driven environment.
And the trade school environment flips that entirely.
It flips it completely. It is all about physical action. Trade school means labs and workshops.
Okay.
It means physically getting behind the wheel or picking up the exact same tools that professional technicians are using out in the field right now.
That's so cool.
Yeah. For example, today's material highlights Universal Technical Institute, or UTI. They offer programs in areas like automotive technology and welding.
So you aren't writing a 10-page essay on the theoretical physics of an internal combustion engine.
No, definitely not.
You are standing in a lab, covered in grease, actually taking the engine apart and putting it back together.
Exactly. At institutions like UTI, the students are training with the same technology they will encounter on their first day of work.
That's amazing.
The focus is exclusively on preparing them with the specific mechanical knowledge needed for in-demand jobs immediately upon graduation.
Okay, so we understand the mechanical differences now. We've got the faster timeline, the opportunity cost, the lack of the hands-on labs.
Right.
But I want to pivot to the real world. Why is that 6.5% annual increase actually happening right now?
Ah, right. The driving forces.
Yeah, like what is driving this sudden, massive surge in popularity for the trades after literally decades of people ignoring them?
Well, there are a few primary drivers pushing that 6.5% growth, and they all intersect with the reality of modern life.
Okay.
The first major driver is what we can call speed to workforce.
Which connects back to the timeline we just discussed.
Yeah.
But it solves a very specific problem for a specific demographic, right?
Exactly. It is absolutely essential for adult learners. Think about someone who is 28, balancing family responsibilities, who already has a job they don't really love, and who has rent and bills to pay every single month.
Yeah, they can't just pause life.
Right. A traditional 4-year pause on their life to go sit in a university lecture hall is simply not financially or logistically possible.
No way.
But telling that same person they can earn a diploma or a certificate in a year or less, that makes a career pivot highly accessible.
It really does.
They can finish their training and start earning a better living much faster.
So it fundamentally lowers the barrier to entry for upward mobility. That's huge. So time is a huge factor.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine money and job availability are playing an even bigger role here. Are employers actually paying enough to make this attractive?
Oh, they absolutely are. And that brings us to the second driver. Desperate employer demand.
Desperate, really.
Desperate. We are experiencing a massive shortage of skilled workers right now.
Wow.
And to understand why that shortage exists, we have to look back at the decades-long push by high school guidance counselors pushing a college-for-all mentality.
Oh, right. Everyone had to go to college.
Exactly. For a long time, the cultural narrative funneled almost every young person toward 4-year colleges, leaving the trades completely neglected.
You add to that the retirement of the baby boomer generation, who historically held all these skilled trade jobs, and you suddenly have a massive vacuum in the workforce.
That's exactly it. That vacuum creates immense opportunity. Employers are eager to hire, and because the supply of skilled workers is so incredibly low, businesses are forced into bidding wars.
Oh, wow. So they're fighting over the graduates.
They are. They are offering highly competitive pay and excellent benefits just to attract and retain talent.
Basic supply and demand in action, then.
Yeah.
The supply of workers dropped, the demand from society stayed constant, so the financial value of the worker skyrocketed?
Precisely. And that high demand is also pairing with a third driver, which is a massive shift in what people actually want their daily lives to look like.
What do you mean by that?
Well, a lot of adults, especially younger ones entering the workforce now, they simply do not want to sit at a desk in a cubicle all day, staring at a glowing screen.
I know.
They desire active, practical work. They want to be out in their local communities, working with their hands, solving real physical problems, and actually seeing the daily tangible results of their labor.
Yeah, I mean, there is something deeply satisfying about looking at a broken machine, using your hands to fix it, and hearing it run again, as opposed to, just moving abstract numbers around on a spreadsheet and waiting for the weekend.
Totally. It offers a very tangible sense of accomplishment that is just often missing from modern office work.
Listening to you list these out, the physical nature of the work, the hands-on problem solving in local communities, I'm realizing something else.
What's that?
I'm going to throw in a fourth driver that jumps out at me based on everything we're discussing. Every single one of these jobs is completely immune to AI.
Oh, that is a crucial realization.
Right.
Job security against technology is becoming a major selling point.
Because we hear so much panic right now about artificial intelligence and automation wiping out whole industries, white-collar jobs, coding, copywriting, data analysis. All of it feels incredibly vulnerable right now.
It really does.
I can use ChatGPT to write a software script, but ChatGPT cannot crawl into my dark basement at 2 in the morning to fix a broken HVAC unit in the middle of a blizzard.
No, it cannot.
You cannot outsource a physical plumbing emergency to a server farm overseas.
You're exactly right. These are essential, irreplaceable services. The information we are exploring specifically references the types of roles that physically keep communities running.
Like what?
Well, we're talking about commercial truck driving, getting your CDL or commercial driver's license. And that includes both Class A licenses for those massive, heavy tractor trailers and Class B licenses for heavy straight trucks, like dump trucks or local delivery vehicles.
Okay, yeah.
We're also talking about HVACR, which stands for heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration. Then there is electrical work and healthcare training. These are the critical systems of modern society.
I mean, without commercial truck drivers, the grocery store shelves in every city are empty in a matter of days.
Exactly. Trucks move nearly everything we consume. And to highlight how established and ongoing this need is, the data mentions the New England Tractor Trailer Training School, or NETTs.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yeah. They are currently celebrating 60 years of CDL training.
60 years. Wow.
That is 6 decades of preparing people for a job that is just as mechanically essential today as it was in the 1960s.
That's incredible. So with all this momentum, the competitive pay, the lack of debt, the impenetrable job security, it is very easy to look at this landscape and assume traditional college is completely obsolete, that nobody should waste their time on the 4-year route anymore.
Oh, but throwing out the traditional college model would be a mistake.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Because it is not about one educational path being objectively superior to the other for every single human being. It is about them serving entirely different end goals.
Got it.
In fact, if we look closely at how these institutions are regulated and run, they actually share some very fundamental traits.
Really? There is structural overlap between a massive university and a local trade school.
Quite a bit, actually. First, both paths require a massive, rigorous commitment to learning.
Okay.
Whether you're studying complex HVACR ventilation schematics or advanced business management theory, you have to have dedication. Turning a wrench on a modern, highly computerized car engine is incredibly difficult. It requires intense study, precision, and a deep understanding of electrical systems. Neither path is a shortcut that requires zero effort.
That is a great point. We shouldn't confuse faster with easier.
Exactly. Furthermore, both types of institutions offer financial aid for qualifying students, which is absolutely vital for keeping education accessible across different income levels.
Well, that's good to know.
And importantly, both can be fully accredited.
Meaning these trade schools aren't just fly-by-night operations printing certificates. They have to meet strict, standardized educational benchmarks set by governing bodies, just like a university does.
Yes, they share a firm foundation of legitimacy. But making the choice between them comes down to your personal trajectory.
Right.
College remains the absolutely necessary baseline for broader academic careers. If you want to go into structural engineering, if you want to teach high school history, or if you want to go into nursing, you generally need that traditional college degree.
That makes sense.
A college track is also better if you aren't entirely sure what you want to do with your life yet, because it offers broader career options and varied internships that let you explore different fields.
So college is for the broad explorer, or for highly specific academic fields that mandate a degree by law.
Exactly. Trade school, conversely, is for those who know exactly what they want to do right now.
Okay.
It is for people who want focused entry-level training that leads directly to licensure or certification in a specific job so they can begin working and earning immediately upon graduation.
It really emphasizes that there is no one-size-fits-all solution for education.
No, definitely not.
The right path depends entirely on your personal goals, your financial reality, and your daily lifestyle preferences.
Perfectly said.
If I can offer a piece of advice based on everything we've looked at in our discussion today, it would be to physically go and see these places.
Oh, yes. The material strongly recommends taking campus tours of both types of schools.
Because walking the halls makes a huge difference in understanding where you actually belong.
It really does.
You can read about a hands-on lab on a website all day, but until you walk in, smell the oil, and see the heavy equipment, you don't really grasp it.
Right. It's visceral.
And the information notes that UTI, for example, has 13 campus locations nationwide.
Yeah.
So you can go there, meet the staff members, walk through the actual classrooms, and physically see the tech firsthand to get your questions answered in person.
Which is so important.
You need to feel the distinct difference between sitting in the back of a massive lecture hall and standing at a workbench in a hands-on workshop to know which environment your brain actually prefers.
That physical environment will dictate your daily life for the duration of your education and ultimately your career. So you have to be comfortable in that space.
Definitely. So to wrap up this overarching theme, it seems incredibly clear that society's definition of educational success is finally broadening in a really healthy way.
I agree completely.
It's no longer just a singular track where you get a 4-year degree or you are viewed as a failure. It's about choosing the right tool for the job.
It is a much more pragmatic, individualized approach to life after high school.
And it leaves me with one final thought, something that wasn't explicitly spelled out in the data, but feels like the natural next question for us as a society based on everything we've discussed today.
Ooh, okay. What is it?
Well, we talked about how essential trade skills are practically immune to being fully automated by AI, and how you can't outsource fixing a local power grid overseas.
Right, the absolute job security aspect.
So here's something for everyone listening to mull over today. If these hands-on trades offer this kind of impenetrable security against the tech revolution, how will our society's definition of job security change in the next decade?
That is a great question.
Are we rapidly approaching a future where traditional blue-collar jobs become the new white-collar jobs in terms of absolute financial stability and societal prestige?
Oh, wow, yeah.
It is definitely something to think about the next time you turn on your air conditioner or see a tractor trailer driving down the highway. Thanks for joining us for this in-depth exploration, and we'll catch you on the next one.